Hello and welcome back to the channel. That's right lads, we're back. After 1 year of being inactive, what the fuck? I would have posted sooner, but my hard drive got wiped, and my dumbass didn't bother to back anything up. Anyways, today we're on Serpulo for the first time in quite a while, ranking its turrets. Unlike the Erekir one, this was a lot harder to do because it had a lot more content, and the balancing on Serpulo is equivalent to that of Queso trying to stand up. But somehow I managed to go through. Pretty much the same rules as the Erekir one. This one is for PvE, not PvP. Other than that, I did have some controversial takes whilst making this video, but I don't care. Now let's actually get on with it. There's only one turret worthy of this spot, and that's Parallax. No surprise here. Most bad turrets probably have some obscene use cases or something niche that still makes it somewhat useful. But this thing is a niche of a niche, effectively useless. It's an anti-air support turret that fires a beam at units bringing them in closer. Certified for offender. The damage is shit, and the support it's supposed to be providing doesn't even exist. On top of all that, it requires large amounts of power to do jack shit. Sure, it can be good paired up with Fuse, and does have some weird use cases, but like, come on. That's just grasping at straws to find something good. Sounds familiar? F tier. Right, this is where the opinions start to get a bit controversial, but I assure you, your complaints are dealt with in a perfectly acceptable manner. In low D tier, we have Wave. Now for some reason, people love this turret, but I don't get the appeal. Another support turret, but this time it's actually useful. In essence, it's just a liquid gun. Water can extinguish fires, oil adds fuel to fires, etc. It can be quite deadly when used in right combos, like water and electricity, but it gets tiered pretty quickly, with better turrets coming in later on. It's pretty mid as a support turret, but what do you expect? Hail is in D tier. It's the early game arty gun, lobbing shells at long ranges, and it's shit at what it does. That, paired with the fact that it too gets tiered pretty quickly, cements its position. It has the same problems as Ripple, I'll get to that later, but also a multitude of its own. I don't see a reason to use it in the short time you actually have it in the early game, before you have access to better turrets, other than you probably have extra resources or as support. The only argument for it in general is its range, but anything a Hail can do, Ripple does better. Now we reach a point where the turrets presented incomplete shit, just mostly shit. They're pretty average all things considered, but that's about it. Now things get real. Ripple in low C tier. It's essentially 9 Hails in one. I used to love this turret, but after doing extensive research, my opinion has changed. It's too damn slow. Not the turret itself, the projectiles it fires. See, things are a lot faster on Serpulo than it is on Erekir. The Titan was useful because even though it itself was slow, so was everything else. Ripples, however, take 2 to 3 business days to reach its target compared to other turrets. Still semi-useful early mid-game. Oh my god! This one's a shocker. Duo is in C tier, at least in my opinion. The best part is, I don't know even myself if I'm rage baiting or it's my actual opinion. Effectively, it's cheap in all aspects, mass producible, and generally, against the enemies it faces, it wins. It gets tiered literally in the next sector after you unlock it. This tier list is based on when you would usually use the turrets amongst other factors, and because Duo can't be used in the mid or late game, unless it's ranked according to the early game standards, and hence is quite decent at what it does. Simply put, it's an okay turret in the first sector, and even though you can use it later on, other turrets are just better.
What's up guys, it's Quandale Dingle here.
Scatter, the first and only AA gun you get. Quite good at what it does, at least up until T3s. Again, similar to Disperse, not much to say here. Ammo is cheap and effective, especially with the flak it produces. Quick tangent. You might be noticing that not all of my descriptions are fleshed out quite as much. That's because I find some of these rankings pretty self-explanatory, and I don't want this video to be longer than it needs to be. Back to the video. Salvo is borderline B tier. I'm cooked. It's a good turret, but I honestly can't put it past B. It's the upgrade to Duo as a mainline turret, shooting salvos of bullets at enemies. Now there are an unbelievable amount of places for this turret, and I honestly think I'm the only one that doesn't get it. Ammo is cheap and versatile, sure, and yes, it does outperform most turrets of its level, with better ammo like silicon, but I feel like that applies to most turrets. Not saying it's bad, because it can hold its own, but I think it's just average. A lot of people might believe it deserves to go to a high B or even A, but in my opinion, when compared to other turrets further down this list, I think it's fair at its position of baseline. These are the turrets that are mostly good, but have some shortfall in one place or another that makes it worse. Basically my channel. Keep in mind, B tier is really good, because you might see some surprising rankings here. Wave got a glow up, and the result is Tsunami. This is a turret that is also universally loved by the community, but this time I actually get the appeal. It still doesn't stop me from putting it in B tier. See, in essence it's basically just a bigger wave, but it becomes more viable because of the progression you do in the campaign when you get it. This is arguably the best support turret there is. With Wave, you'd be lucky even using it with water, simply because creating more turrets that can do damage is generally seen as better than providing support. In contrast, I find myself using Tsunami a lot more often, especially with Cryo. These later game liquids provide a lot more opportunities to do damage compared to just water, especially considering they can double or even triple damage output. This, paired with the fact that Tsunami is just generally better, puts it into low B tier. Lancer. Not quite as shocking, but it's not the OP turret you think it is. It's one of the few energy weapons that straight up just fires a laser at its targets. Simply put, it's good enough at what it does, especially in the mid game before you unlock more seasoned turrets. The piercing does prove useful in many cases, but it's more of a take or leave. It's also quite cost effective, considering you can just use power for logistics. However, I'm not saying it's light on power. On top of all that, it can also deal with tankier enemies in the mid game, and is basically required to beat Stained Mountains before the rebalance. The fact it can't deal with air units doesn't help, but still, it's good.
Fire in my laser!
It's so sad that Segment died of Router. Who the hell is Segment? Router chain. Okay, but seriously, I couldn't remember this thing for the life of me, and I almost forgot to add it. But the fact it's so high is weird, to say the least. Chances are you are also in my position and probably never use this turret, but again, after consulting the council, I learned it's actually quite good. This is one of the last turrets you unlock, and hence I barely use it. It basically evaporates shots taken by enemies for a considerable power cost. Like Luster, it's a great part of any defense, but it's not necessarily required, and I'm honestly surprised nobody uses it. A group of 5 can cancel the effect of most higher tier units, and it's a lot more effective than Build Wall Strong, especially when paired with force projectors. Half the reason I made this video is just to rant over the fact that you should use this turret. I think it's obvious why it's not higher than B, but I still think it's effective enough to go into B tier. Next up, we have Spectre. If you are a duo, Spectre is the guy she tells you not to worry about. Putting it in B tier seems harsh, but it's kinda overrated. See, unlike most turrets, Spectre only has 3 ammo types. All these ammos are capable of piercing units, and it has quite a high fire rate. Everything seems good, right? On paper, yes, but in practice, not so much. It's pretty capable of taking T4s and 5s toe to toe, but in any other situation, it gets overwhelmed. The piercing does help with this, but again, in practice it doesn't hold up as well as you think. It also doesn't help that its few ammo types reduces its versatility. Plus, it is rather expensive, needing things like surge and shit tons of copper. Other than that, it's quite good, but it's nothing to write home about. The last turret is Foreshadow. Nothing could have foreshadowed that. Kill me now. In all honesty, it's probably borderline A, and that's where I'm gonna put it. Foreshadow isn't created for its crowd control, rather its completely conventional methods of combat. It hits hard and kinda fast, and its range allows it to be placed far behind your lines. It's basically a necessity when dealing with T5s, and it ensures your defense will survive indefinitely. The only reason it's not in S tier is because of its high cost, especially to maintain it. You basically need the GDP of 2 Germanys to run a continuous line of only 5. Other than that, it's basically the best support sniper you can get.
What's up guys, it's Quandale Dingle here.
In the wise words of Sun Tzu, don't repeat the tactics that gained you one victory, instead use these turrets. At this point, you certainly want to use these turrets. They can't be considered the best, but that's only because the competition is too good. First and foremost, the elephant in the room, Scorch. There's basically 2 sides of the community when it comes to this. It's a flamethrower that shreds units, and you get it in the second sector. It's great, but not S tier material. Its ammo is cheap and it itself is effective, yes, but it also has a short range, and because of the nature of how it works, you can't really use it against anything higher than a T2, even if it is capable of killing it. Still, I think it's really good. The original Sublimate, Meltdown. It's basically a lancer on a certain substance. It is quite an immaculate all-rounder. The beam can take down groups of units quite well, while at the same time being capable of holding its own against T5s. Its only real downside is the initial cost to build it and the cooldown time. The ammo isn't a problem since water and power will always be an abundant resource, but the cooldown time makes it vulnerable to any attacks after the fact. On top of all that, the cost is more expensive than that of Spectre, but this time I think it's actually cost effective. Okay lads, we have the turret, Fuse. It's a shotgun that fires really fast. It's cost effective, versatile and powerful, with the only real downside being once again its range. It can deal with every type of unit quite well, especially when it's cooled or overdrived against higher tiers, and it has a good synergy with other turrets. This does of course rely on certain tricks like pathfinding or using parallax, but I think these things can be overlooked enough for it to go into A tier, especially with the frequency people use it. The crux are red, my silicon is few, Arc goes into A tier, screw you. Okay, so originally Arc was in S tier, but then I had a stark realization, it's just above Scorch. Only bold statements on this channel. It's cheaper than Scorch, only needing lead and copper. The ammo is electricity, which is never really a problem, and it deals with enemies quite well, at least up until you get better turrets. In all honesty, I would put it into borderline S, but as good as it is, I still don't think it holds up to the turrets that are in S tier.
To find your dreams and I point down.
These are the actual best turrets. To put this into perspective, you can put these into any sector and it will probably be enough to solo it. To add to it, basically everyone loves these turrets. Swarmer is one of them. Do I really need to explain? It's the only turret that can fire missiles, and these things are especially good when paired with cryo tsunamis. While you're at it, you can cool it to improve its already great fire rate. The ammo is meh in terms of cost, but it's not a deal breaker considering you only need one line to support an entire defense. Plastinium could be a problem to construct it, but it's not that heavy on it, and if I'm being honest, you probably have a steady supply by the time you unlock it. Cyclone is the final turret, and it goes into high S tier. Absolutely everyone loves this turret. This is the pinnacle of mainline turrets. It's a flak turret that can target air units and ground units. The flak destroys groups of units, and yet again it can stand shoulders to shoulder with most higher tier units. It has a variety of ammo types and it can hold its own against most units. Again, it does use Plast, which isn't ideal, but is certainly not a deal breaker. The core amount is enough to set up a defensive line, and Plast is already easy to make anyways. It basically has no downsides, and this cements itself as the best turret on Serpulo. Another tier list down, lads. Other than a few minor tweaks, I think this is probably a solid tier list. I really do hope it helps. I just want to thank you guys for the support on the last video. Like I said before, I was supposed to get a video out sooner, but shit hit the fan and I kinda fell to burnout. Never in well, ever would I think I would get 1,000 subscribers, but here we are, so thank you. I'd also appreciate it if you show your support by liking and subscribing, and maybe even commenting if you want. I am continuing to improve the quality of content. The next goal is 5,000. And I know we can get there insanely quickly, and remember, subscribing is not optional. I can't guarantee frequent videos, but I do have some things lined up, so stay tuned. No, it's not a tier list, but it is Mindustry and it is a banger. Other than that, thank you for watching.